All right. So next story. There's a point here about marketers are shifting investment into Web3. As this is just a fluff piece at a CoinDesk, in my opinion. But as major brands enter Web3, we are starting to see creativity become multiplayer. This is their term. Communities are beginning to create the stories we love to reinvigorate them and bring new life back. So I'll make this simple. The way Netflix has taken old shows and rebooted them, like picked them up from where they left off, we're going to see group creativity bringing back into the media space primarily. But Web3 is encouraging community creativity. Thoughts on this?
Battle Bunnies is a perfect example. It's a first community written novel, right? A fantasy novel that's derived obviously from some kind of core construct, but the reality is that like the entire community is the driving force behind that entire project. Some projects like to dictate, some like to incorporate. There's that term DAO that we can throw around, which gets people more involved in more of the directional avenues on where projects go. But the community element on all of this is really what is going to be behind it. And again, when you talk about linking it to another story we talked about earlier about the content creator, a content creator's whole premise is based around community building.
Yeah, interesting. Final thoughts on that one, Michelle?
I think too that, you know, in 2021 and probably almost all of 2022, maybe halfway through the year, the tide was turning. We had, you know, I was told many times, you don't understand that crypto marketing is different, Michelle. You know, that isn't the way, the traditional way or the content marketing way, being the content marketing queen, as I am, you know, that's not the way we do things in Web3. Well, the reality is now that, you know, half the market's been wiped out because no one's got any money left and they've all disappeared, and perhaps some of them are now doing chat GPT courses. But they, you know, like now we're seeing people realizing that you need to build a community, you need to turn your audience into raving fans, into people who believe in the story and follow the journey and want to walk the journey with you. And when you do that, you can create a viable business around it. And you do that by storytelling. So content, you know, content is king or queen in my case. And that is how you are going to bring people with you on your journey in Web3. And so that means that what the story is talking about is probably, we looked at articles 18 months ago, we were talking about influencer marketing. And, you know, how many Telegram messages did we get saying, I can get 3,000 people in into your chat group and we can pump the coin and blah, blah, blah. And all this, like every second hour you used to get that.
Yep.
You're not seeing a lot of that now because that's just, everyone knows that doesn't work anymore.
They're working on
and
the
so we've got it.
ebook.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. But, you know, like, I think that Mike would probably know this from his, from his community as well. People want to feel connection. They want to feel belonging. And how do they do that? That happens by taking them with you on your journey, using content, using storytelling, and creating communities.
So I'm going to open this up for questions in the audience if anyone cares right now. Linda, you've been great. Zach, I know Aaron. If anyone has any questions they want to drop in the chat, or if you guys are welcome to come on stage if you'd like, we're happy to have. Otherwise, the final story is going to be that there's an analytics insight piece. They've now released the top 10 Web3 influencers for 23. And it's got folks like Vitalik and CZ from Binance, Gary Vaynerchuk, a couple of common names. I just like the fact that there's now a top 10 Web3 thing. Like this is now starting to become, it's in the culture, if you will. Thoughts, comments?
And you know, they've got we're talking about before about the Ad Age Awards, you know, Web3 Awards, Marketing Trailblazers or whatever. There's going to be more of these. I mean, just like, you know, remember how excited everyone was in, what was it, 2008 when the first internet marketing awards came out, or those people that had a website, the best website on the internet awards and all that sort of thing. I mean, I've always been a bit of a, I think it's okay if you actually win the awards properly, but when people pay to win awards, then I kind of don't think that that's a great thing. But lots of people actually get influenced by the sticker or the little logo on their websites, to show that, customers think, oh, they've won some awards, they must be good. And so I think that it's, this is kind of the top 10 or the top 20, or, will we see a Web3 30 under 30, or, a Web3, top 500 or whatever. Like, I don't know, maybe.
I think we will. I think the question, your point about the awards don't really mean anything is what I think we're going with this. And I agree with that. Like, I forget what it is, the Tonys or the Grammys or one of these, like the Oscars. This is not a fan driven thing. This is an organization that picks winners. And that's completely,
and it costs a lot of money to be to be considered to be a winner.
Conceptually, that is violation of everything Web3, right? That there's a large centralized organization that determines the winners. Where have we seen this movie before?
But we can turn it into a Web3 construct, right? If that organization has an NFT associated with it, that NFT has a DAO, that DAO then votes for who these, I hate the term influencer because I would classify that list as more of pioneers because we're at this such early stage of it. But if that community has the ability to make those distinctions, it could be anybody on that list. It doesn't need to be the Mount Rushmore of the space as we know it today. It could be anybody. So I think
that's an American reference, Michelle.
Over time, I think we're going to see the evolution of things like that turn into more of a Web3 solution. And whether you're in Web3 or not, I mean, obviously, there's AP writers who know nothing about baseball who vote for baseball Hall of Famers, right? I mean, over time, we're going to see people who know nothing about Web3 have their stake in the ground to make an assessment on this, just because it validates whatever they have in their own respective careers.
Well, I think that Jamie Dimon has already explained that it's a farce. We don't need to worry about Web3.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't be having this show, and there wouldn't be a multi-trillion-dollar industry attached to it if we don't have to worry about it.
Obviously, Jamie didn't buy Bitcoin at $1.
Right. I want to throw this out there that people should remember that this show is not in any way, shape, or form intended as guidance, advice, or financial direction, right? This is a business discussion for general information purposes. So as Mike says, do your own damn research, right? This does not constitute investment advice in any way, shape, or form. That being said, we're back every week, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, to discuss the business angles of Web3. What are the implications? What's the happenings? We're trying to keep an eye on things because we three here believe that there's not an elevated business conversation around the Web3 development. And beyond how do I make a quick buck, what are the real implications? Like what does this mean to me if I run a business or if I live in the world, if I'm an artist, if I'm thinking about marketing in the Web3 space, what do I need to know? So that is the purpose of this show. And we thank you guys for joining us. Final comments from Mike, Michelle?
Well, I think it will, at some point in time, maybe over the next 18 months, be a battle between Apple and Amazon as to who stakes the biggest claim in Web3.
Interesting.
And I hope that if that were the accurate forecast, they spend a tremendous amount of money, resources, and time in onboarding more people into the space, because I think that only inerts to all of us who are in at the ground level right now.
Yeah, I think they will. They will.
I think you put your finger on something interesting there, though, Michelle. Amazon and Apple, both humongous platforms, and that will be where Web3 plays out. Not necessarily those two companies, but who can maintain, run, and build an ecosystem on a platform wins this. And by the way, I'd throw Disney in that ring as well, just for the hay of it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next week for episode 4.
See you next week.
Appreciate you guys joining us. Thanks for all the comments and questions. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.